G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. Today I'm interviewing Marco Torres from Marketing Boost. He's based in Tampa, USA, beautiful Florida. Thanks for your time today, Marco.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with how we know each other. I can't recall actually how we connected. I think it was someone on your team might have reached out.
Yeah, we reached out to you, Troy, because I think you're on Match, Pot of Match.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we been looking to tell our story about marketingboost.com. And so one of my goals for this year was to get interviewed on at least one podcast show a day. And I'm certainly doing that. I'm doing about 5 to 7 shows a week.
Wow, that's great. Very good. Well, tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
Okay. Well, the main business that I've been focusing on, my partners and I have several, but one of the ones I've been focusing on for the last few years is called marketingboost.com. And it came about actually servicing one of our other businesses, which is we've been in the travel space since the mid 2010, 11, as we started really growing a travel company back then called bookvip.com. And that is the start of that we had was 4 partners and I that we were recovering from the 2008 crash here in the US. Totally wiped me out anyway. I mean, complete crash and burn. And we ended up getting together and pooling our talents and our revenue and our capital and just launched the travel business in 2009 and 2010. We were starting to grow really quick. And one of the challenges that we wanted to generate more video testimonials from everybody. And so we came up with an idea to incentivize our travelers after they check in at the hotel or resort they were checking in on. We'd ask them, hey, how's the hotel? Give us a rating from 1 to 5. How would you score us on how we're doing up to your expectations? And if they give us a 4 or 5, we would ask them to give us a review and give us a video testimonial, a selfie video from the resort. And if they did that, we would reward them with a complimentary hotel stay. And that took off like a rocket. Before we knew it, we had dozens and dozens of these video testimonials that we were leveraging all over our website to grow and literally tick off doing thousands of additional sales thanks to the video testimonials. But then we had the problem that we had to pay for those rooms from people that we were comping hotel rooms to. Yeah. So we went back to these hotels and said, hey, look, you've got a problem that we can fix. We know that you're not full year round. You're typically 70% of the year, you've got 30-40% of the rooms that are unoccupied. You're full on weekends, you're full for peak holiday seasons, you're full for special events. But other than that, a lot of rooms available. So we convinced a few hotels to start with that we would help them fill those empty rooms with warm bodies, families, couples who would spend money at the bar, the restaurant, the casino, the gift shop, and all the other revenue opportunities the hotel would have versus no revenue. And it ended up becoming what we have today, which is marketingboost.com, where we provide travel incentives, complimentary hotel stays at over 125 destinations now, where our business owners can use Marketing Boost tool to give away these complimentary hotel stays and hotel savings cards to boost sales, stand out from the crowd, generate leads. Essentially, it's the best customer draw card on the planet right now for the price.
Yeah, fantastic. So no, I'm assuming it's not just for the hotel industry that can participate, although what the consumer is getting is the hotel stay, but other businesses in other industries can use this.
Absolutely. We have businesses in almost every niche throughout the world. We have members that use our services in Australia, in the UK, throughout Europe, the Philippines, India. I've got business owners, of course, all over the United States and Canada. We have thousands of business clients that use our service. By the way, it's only $37 a month, so it's not a big deal. It's a no-brainer to consider using Marketing Boost. But any industry, I've got literally from lemonade stands in New York City to car dealerships in in Chicago. I've got solar companies and direct sales operations in Australia. I've got pool companies in Australia. I've got, you name it. Anybody who's looking to make, is in direct sales or in trying to generate leads, or so these incentives can be used in a million ways, everything from helping to book more appointments to closing more sales and more.
That's great. No, it's a really innovative idea and it's sounding like much needed. And you got the video, you went into the video idea about 10 years ago. That was clearly early on. Like video is now huge.
Yeah. Today we've got almost 40,000 video testimonials from happy travelers that have, in one of those other travel sites I was telling you about. Mm-hmm. And that method, by the way, is I recommend to any business, large or small, because we all need reviews. We need reviews coming in on a constant basis. If the last review you had was, a year or two ago, that also affects your credibility as well. Yeah. So you need constant social proof, and you need constant new reviews coming in, whether they be written on Google My Business or they be on the other third. What we do is we do surveys with our clients. And here's a tip any business owner can use. Survey your clients after they buy from you at some point, whenever you think they would be at their peak of using your service or product, that they've used it and they should be happy with it. So you survey them. Don't ask everybody to give you a review, because you don't know if they're evangelists for your brand yet or not.
Yep.
So survey them first and say, hey, how are we doing? Are we living up to your expectations? And if they give you that 5 or out of 10, if they give you a 5 out of 5, those are the ones you want to immediately come back to and go, please help us spread the word. If you would give us a review, and then make it easy for them. Follow up with emails and text messages where they can click a link, write a review, or send you a video testimonial, and then maybe include an incentive of your own or a product like Marketing Boost to reward them for going above and beyond, such as a video review, not just a written review. Written reviews are great, but we all kind of question those sometimes. If you got, could they be real? Could they be fake? Video testimonials, nobody's going to watch them all. But if you've got dozens of video testimonials, they're not going to watch them all, but that's going to give you the social proof to go, okay, these guys are for real. And they're real people in these videos, not actors. I can see from just you got ugly people, pretty people, fat people, young people, you got them all.
Yeah.
They look fucking real. And then your video testimonials mean something, and then they'll be buying from you.
Yeah, that's great. No, it's huge. As I said, video is big now, but the fact that you guys had this idea over 10 years ago is genius. I really love it. And anything else you want to add on how you started out? You mentioned how the GFC was quite brutal. Anything else on your journey in business?
Well, yeah, starting out, we couldn't afford to hire anybody. It's when we were literally bootstrap operation after the 2008 crash, and so we pulled together. Partner of mine reached out. He said, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm struggling too, this, that, and the other. So we couldn't have afforded to hire each other, but as 4 partners pulled together. One of the lessons that I learned from that, and I've actually done this over and over in my lifetime, is leverage the people I know and the people that I've learned to trust. And I've partnered with people. I find too many business owners want to do everything on their own. They want to be control freaks. They want to do it all. Yep. They want to manage it all. They don't even want to hire people often. And if you can't hire people, partner with people, but you've got to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, that know that you can divide and conquer. Yeah. And that's what we did. So like one partner focused on the marketing, I focused on sales, the other focused on resort relationships and partnerships. The other one was on the financing and payroll and all the other expenses and stuff. And each of us would, bring our talent to the table, and we got the job done. And before you knew it, we were off and going in a successful business, which turned into literally traveling over 1 million people so far since our start. And we have over 180 staff members around the world. We have agents in Australia. We have staff members in the Philippines. We have our IT staff in India. We've got IT staff in Australia as well. We've got, in the U.S., about a management staff in the U.S. And all of it really today is almost everything is virtual based, operations, home-based agents everywhere. we do have offices in the Philippines with a bunch of staff, but we have found ways to outsource and within really expanded on that during this last couple of years where everybody works from almost everybody works from home.
Yep. And maybe just go back to the start. What was the first business you started and what year and how old were you?
My first business, I was 9 years old. I've been an entrepreneur since a kid.
Yep.
I started a paper route at the age of 9. By the age of 12, I was featured on the front page of the newspaper for building the biggest paper route they'd ever seen. But even since back then, I leveraged my relationships. I had some buddies of mine. They helped me do the deliveries. And I focused on what I was good at, which was door-to-door sales and selling the subscriptions, and then going back for collections. And later on, by the time I was 23, I had my older brother and my mother involved in businesses with me. We owned 4 restaurants and I owned a nightclub on my own. So I thought by the time I'm 35, I'm going to be a billionaire. But I didn't quite make that shit. But anyway, but I've been on that chase ever since.
Yeah, great. And how old are you now, out of interest?
I am 62. I will be 62 here in a couple of months. I'm 61 right now.
So that's 53 years in the game. That's good.
Yeah.
I think my daughter pips you there. She started a lolly shop when she was 7. She's almost 9 now. So she asked me if she was the youngest in the family. I said, I think I was 10 when I started my lawn mowing business, but I'll ask her grandfather, my dad, and I think he was older than me. So yeah.
Yeah. You got it we either have it or you don't sometimes. I mean, you can learn entrepreneurship, but you do have to be willing to burn the candle at both ends.
Yep.
And not everybody's willing to do that. So.
No. And when was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
When I didn't have to work every day, but I still wanted to.
Yeah.
When the plenty of money in the bank, plenty of people to delegate everything to, which has really been, I think the most success I've felt has been in the last few years, because I've got everything in place. I've got teams in place. I delegate everything. I focus today on telling the story, getting on these podcasts, telling and sharing with people how, because I really learned many years ago from Zig Ziglar, one of my favorite books.
He's great.
Was essentially on if you can help, his man. I know I'm paraphrasing him here, but if you can help enough other people get what they want out of life, I would get everything I wanted in life, or you'll get everything you want. And I've kind of lived by that, or tried to live by that philosophy since I'm very young. And now that's really what I focus on, is trying to help other entrepreneurs. My Facebook group's got almost 28,000 entrepreneurs in the group, and we focus on helping train business owners on how to scale and grow, and from everything, whether it's using the incentives that we provide, along with every other kind of business information and tools and tips, and from automation and so on. So they're successful. If they're successful, I'm successful.
So how can the audience find that Facebook group if they're interested in joining?
Yeah, it's search for Marketing Boost.
Yep.
Marketing Boost in Facebook. So it's all about our official Marketing Boost page.
What does success look like to you?
To me, it's having to be able to spend time with my loved ones. They'll be boating. They call me Captain Marco as well. So I like to spend a lot of time on the water. My backyard, I've got an 80-foot dock, and I've got a choice of boats to go play with. So for me, it's about how much time am I boating, and if I'm boating enough, then I'm reaching this. I'm succeeding. And again, I can't do that unless the whole operation's moving and staff is working and everybody's getting paid, and you've got. So I've enjoyed growing to the point where we're employing people around the world and helping them pay their bills and feed their families and make a difference in their lives.
Yeah, it's a good feeling, isn't it? I've got 4 offshore team members, 3 in the Philippines, 1 in Pakistan. It's great also to help them. One was traveling 3 hours a day. Now she works from home. Got 2 kids. It's great to be able to support other families.
Yeah, I mean, I've got people that are in the Philippines now. And the funny thing about the Philippines, we hired we end up with 100 some odd agents over there in our call center in the Philippines. And that's a career they train for in the Philippines. I mean, here in the U.S., call center operators is like a temporary job. You know,
Yep.
they're working a call center until they can find something better. But in the Philippines, that is the career to you know, they train for, go to school for, and they love it, and they're experts at it, and they've got the character for it, the personality for customer service and sales, and they're the breadwinners, the people that they are making more money than you know, many of those call center agents of ours. They're the sole breadwinner of the entire family.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they've obviously got a strong work ethic. I think that 87% of the population are Catholic, and obviously after World War II, the American hung around a bit, and their English is superb. So it's a great combination, as well as using the arbitrage of the living different cost differences between our countries and theirs. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
Number one thing I'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business, you know, that keeps changing so much. I've been an internet marketer since 1996. I started a very early adapter to marketing on the internet. I was a spammer before they called it spam.
Yep.
They didn't even have a name for it. I was doing 100 million emails a month between everybody and every partner out there I could get my hands on to email. Yep. Back then, everybody loved email because it was like, you've got mail with your AOL account. But it's really hard to keep up because things keep changing on a daily basis. I mean, Facebook, my partners and I, we have spent over $70 million on Facebook marketing alone in the last 15 years.
Holy shit.
And but it's changed so dramatically now with ever since the iOS 14, iOS 15 new rules that Apple came out with. It's very difficult to that was our bread and butter for years. Facebook was just the machine. And before that, it was paper. Before that, it was Google, pay-per-click.
Yep.
And before Google, it was, the point is, you've got to stay relevant. You've got to keep learning. You've got to keep teaching yourself. You've got to keep, one good thing I would say about being an entrepreneur today is that the information has never been more easy to find. It's so, it's always changing, but there's always training and technique and more tools and techniques and things that you can be getting your hands on either for free or affordable between, YouTube and what have you, that you can stay up to speed on the constant changing trends. So you got to stay with the trends, but I tell you what, email still works. And obviously, and text messaging today, I use the main key three things I'm doing is text messaging, email marketing, and voiceless ring mail broadcasting. And of course, you still got to bring in, the pay-per-click and then YouTube ads and TikTok now and Instagram. So it keeps changing. You've got to keep playing with all the different outlets that keep coming. Telegram. I mean, you've got to keep playing, testing them all because you never know who's going to be the next big.
That's it. Yeah. And how did you fund this business? Was it just the five partners just throwing their time into it, a little bit of cash, and it grew from there?
Yeah, when we funded it originally, it was each of us putting in our time and whatever capital we had our hands on, and we were, funding it with credit cards of our own, and and gambling on making sales today to pay the bills tomorrow, and fortunately.
When we go to the races or a casino, people ask me if I gamble. I said, I don't gamble. I'm a small business owner. I gamble every day.
I gamble every day. And it really became, the science of, okay, we've got to find a strategy every day to put $10 in marketing in and pull, $20 out or $15 out. You got to be able to pull enough ROI out of it so you can reinvest it tomorrow. And it was always just a constant invest, market, tweak, change, tweak again, try again, and continue to modify until you hit some home runs. And as you start to hit some home runs, then you've got to be, then you got to feed the machine. As soon as you find that it's starting to work and you're putting in $1 and spitting out $3, then you got to just keep spitting more, $1 bills in there. So the $3 bills keep coming out on the other side.
And if you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
we took a beating, obviously, for COVID-19 as well now, because our product has all been wrapped around the travel industry. So if you had asked me that question last year, I would have said, hell no. Stay away from the travel industry. Yeah, we took a beating for COVID and lockdowns all over the world and so on and so forth. But we feel very confident now because things are, right now it's like revenge travel. People are, it's booming back. Restrictions are being taken down from around the world. So it's been a good industry for me since the mid '90s. So I would say, yeah, I'd do it again. It's been great.
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
Most stressful point was, what would that have been? Sometimes making payroll, man. It's you build relationships, right, with your staff, whether they're in an office in your hometown, or you've got people around the world that you end up outsourcing stuff to. They become your family. And when you've got a payroll nut to make that starts to reach $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a week in payroll and what have you, that can be a big nut to crack.
Yep.
And when so the biggest stress points have been when we have hit these downfalls such as COVID, where you're having to reach out to your team and lay people off, or find ways to cut people's hours and get everybody to participate in working less, but still, just super stressful and painful. And, you asked me, when you feel successful, well, that doesn't feel successful when you're cutting staff hours or pay, or asking them to take pay cuts, or, the last couple of years have been some of that. So, we're just feeling very grateful to have been all of 2021. It was a boom back for us. Even though COVID was still very much in place, travel was booming back already. There was a lot of people, vaccinated and everything else, and lockdowns weren't everywhere. 2022 has just been, we're right back to better than ever was. So, it feels good again.
What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value? When here in the U.S., we used to have a huge call center in Miami, Florida. Our office in Miami, Florida, with our our agents for inbound, for outbound, for management. It was a 10,000 square foot office with a bunch of staff, and it was painful to realize that hiring in the U.S. had become very difficult. The work ethic of staff, the work ethic of the Americans in the community we were in anyway, was really hard to hire, hard to train, hard to get them to stay on. As soon as they thought they knew what they were doing, they would get off of the script and start doing whatever they thought was best. And so the hardest thing to do was really to outsource overseas. And initially, I thought it would never work, because I thought, we're never going to train Filipinos to sell, because we also did not just customer service, but inbound sales. Yeah.
And I thought that they will never be able to teach them to sell. We started with customer service only overseas, and found that was, really good. They were hardworking. They'd follow the systems. It took a lot of training, because it just took a lot of training to get them to understand our ways of thinking, the Anglo or the Western, ways, and different things about it. But once they got it, they were the best. And then I never thought I'd teach them to do sales, but that's what I focused on for the many years here, was teaching them to follow, to sell, and how we think over on this side of the world, and how we overcome objections, and before you know it, they were outperforming everybody in the United States. Eventually, although it was painful to make that decision, we just shut down the entire U.S. office except for our top people that became home-based agents, and we grew that team overseas, and that's the big part of our family today. And so the pain was, the difficulty was growing it and doing it, teaching people from Zoom calls. And I eventually lived over in Philippines for almost a year, training them as well. But that turned out to be a lot of fun, and bounced from there all over Europe. I mean, all over Asia. Got to know, Thailand, Singapore, Japan, the islands, all over the Philippines, and what have you. But I think in the end, is the best decision we ever made was to outsource and grow a team overseas.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what year did you make that big change?
We started moving to overseas staff in about 2015, and still do that today. Today, we have almost very few US-based people other than management.
It's great timing because you probably would have read the big resignation that started in the US about a year ago. So finding staff now is even harder.
Exactly. Yeah. Now everybody is a solopreneur, and everybody, I guess, I can't figure out where.
I don't know where they've gone. Everyone's resigned. I don't know what they're doing.
I can't figure out where everybody went because, there's like, okay, we got more new businesses started than ever, I guess. But yeah. But yeah, it's amazing, the big reset.
And what have you enjoyed least about managing fast growth?
Well, what I've enjoyed least about the outsourcing and the, everybody working from home is the camaraderie. It's not as easy to build that camaraderie that we had in the days of the, in-person offices.
Yep.
I miss those days when the relationships with staff was even stronger. When you celebrating everybody's, a birthday or a child's birth or an anniversary or, daily meetings were fun and so on. And so we don't have, you give that up when you do this outsourcing scenario, and then it becomes a lot harder to build, to really have that type of personal relationship with staff, and that takes a lot of the fun out of it. So then it becomes, about the money, and so it's hard to keep that fun. And today, what I do to keep it fun now is the majority of my effort today, anyway, is I focus on the business relationships with the business, with the B2B side of the business, where we do with Marketing Boost today versus the B2C. And today, my fun anyway comes from hands-on with the business owners that I'm helping, training, and working with to use the Marketing Boost incentive side of the fence, and teach them and help them and participate. And I look at it as if I can help, again, it's kind of like I need to help people plant their farm, plant the seeds, and then help them as we together harvest the results.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
The challenge, the daily challenges can be fun. The excitement of every new sale. I got my little tool here to pat myself. Just pat myself on the back. It says I'm not in the office anymore where people can come around going, hey, high fives and stuff. So I've got my little bell here to ring my own bell for every little success of the day, and remind myself that every small success that we're having throughout the day is exciting. You gotta sometimes pump yourself up because no one else is going to be around to do it in a small home-based business. Or so if nobody's patting you on the back, find something to do. What
has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
That's I guess since I've been doing it for so long as an entrepreneur, I did take the corporate route for a few years, and I did work and I helped some other big companies take. And once I got into that comfort zone, I would say that was the mindset shift that I needed to get out of. And I tell you what, now that you remind me, here was the biggest shift. When I lost everything, because I was in the corporate world when 2008 came around. I had got in the comfort zone as a vice president of a big travel company and a big, huge machine. I had 2,000 employees that were to work directly under me. And when that 2008 hit and we had to lay off nearly all 2,000 of them, and then they fired me as well. And my whole department was essentially shut down. And then I swore I'm gonna bounce laterally. I'll find another job. I'll be a VP somewhere else. And instead, I ended up having to go back into the mindset of being an entrepreneur again.
Yep.
And but the the why me, the victim attitude that I had after the crash of 2008. I mean, it was my best sales year ever. I sold everything. I sold my house. I sold my cars. I sold my boat. I sold my businesses that I had left that were still struggling. I mean, literally it became a flash sale of everything. I was selling my furniture. I mean, it was disaster. And so the victim mindset that kicked into me, where I'm feeling, okay, is it because I'm Hispanic? Why me? Yeah. And to finally turn that around, to finally stop feeling like the victim, finally stop realizing that I'm the only one in control of changing my attitude here, in order to change my gratitude, turn it into gratitude so that I could actually get somewhere.
Yep.
And that was the key, turning it from victimhood to turning into daily gratitude on everything that comes my way, and realizing that I can fix this and that I can get there again. I know how to do it. I'm not starting from zero. I'm not starting from scratch, because I've got the experience. Now I just need to implement it for myself versus somebody else.
What is the number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
Need to be willing to, I find that you've got to, as soon as you put anything that you do every day, when it becomes a business, when it becomes a habit that you are doing on a daily basis, you have these functions that you're doing, then you need to turn it into a business process and outsource it. You need to turn it into a business process that somebody else can do that thing that you do every day. It seems like you're the only one that can do it. Well, that's not true. You need to turn it into a process that you can outsource to somebody else, so that you can move on to the next big challenge, so that you can look at this from a higher perspective, looking at 30,000 feet down, and you can think big. Because if you keep thinking small, where you're the one that's going to do it all, I got to do the data entry, I'm going to do the email marketing, I'm going to create my own emails, I'm going to do when you find yourself doing everything, you're thinking small, you're a small business, and you will always be one. So If you're going to be a bigger business, you need to find a way to put it in a process, find people to hire, get people doing it so you can do the next big thing, and then set that up as a process and move on.
Be the change you want to see in your business. Become more productive and less stressed with our free Transform Your Performance online course. Once you see the benefits, put your entire team through the course at no cost. We start out by telling you the secret to guaranteed success. Then over 100 lessons help you be more focused, present, productive, and feel more in control about work. growasmallbusiness.com. Can you talk about how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
It is hiring the right people, obviously, is one of the key factors. And you've also got to be willing to fire people right away as well. Yep. If you realize they're not a good fit for the team or for other people, if they are creating havoc within the group or within your organization, then you either need to, separate them and keep them as a, standalone deal, or let them go entirely, because the wrong people can totally bring down the entire organization.
Yeah, totally agree. What are some things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with the growth? I know it's much harder now. Everyone's remote.
It is so much harder as everyone's remote, but if everybody being remote, you still got to have the Zoom calls. You got to have everybody turn their cameras on. You've got to make, I've been on a lot of these Zoom calls where everybody turns their cameras off. Some people are still sitting around with, t-shirt and with food all over it or whatever. So they've got the hair, they didn't have a good hair day, so they want to turn the camera off. Well, they couldn't do that if it was in the office, could they? If it was still office working, we'd all have to show up to work, and we'd all have to get dressed, and we'd all have to be, looking sharp. And you need to maintain that. I think that simple thing alone with an outsourced team, by making them, okay, when we have our meetings weekly, daily, however often they are, you expect everybody to be dressed and everybody to have the camera on, and build that relationship with. We still need to see each other. We're still human. We still need to see the smiles and the faces and the reactions, and you build that team relationship with at least, looking at each other's faces via Zoom.
Yeah. Tell the audience how you've handled balance.
balance between fun and work and stuff like that. That's been one of my challenges for years. I have been a workaholic for most of my life.
Yep.
Not balancing family, and I really felt the pain on that when I lost my late wife 5 years ago to lung cancer that kind of popped up on her out of nowhere. And when that hit us up, she was diagnosed with lung cancer. That's when the wake up call came in and go, we're not here forever. We don't know. We put that off. We don't think about death, but it's real. It's obviously the only reality we all have. And so it was like, okay, we got to move now on our dreams, on our bucket list. And I bought the sailboat. I bought a big catamaran sailboat, and we started sailing. And then the balance became very important, to spend as much time in her last 2 years together as possible. And that turned out to be great with the kids, and the best times we've ever had were probably those last 2 years.
Yeah.
But I wish we had done that. And I realized, would have been better to have started that process a lot sooner.
Yeah. Sorry to hear about your loss.
Thank you. Yeah.
How much professional development have you invested in yourself over the years?
Constantly.
Yep.
You've got to, I've constantly in buying courses that I think are going to help me with one thing or another. In my case, it's all about sales and marketing. So I have not had to go and get professional doctorates or what have you. I'm not a college. I dropped out of college and barely finished high school. So it hasn't been that type of education. But I've never quit, reading, and I've never quit participating in video training and courses and on anything to do with marketing, sales and marketing, to continue to hone my practice and bring those skills to my team and to the people around me.
It's so important, just that, having that attitude of lifelong learning. You don't need to go to fucking university these days, I don't think, except for obviously some specialist skills. But if you've got that mindset and attitude of I'm always going to be developing myself, and you're set, I think, in business. Have you had mentors?
As soon as you think you know it all, you're done.
You're in trouble. Have you had mentors or coaches along the way?
I have. I've hired professional business coaches for $35,000-$40,000 a year, for example, that we would meet with on a bi-weekly basis and hold us accountable and present our brainstorming together. We've had hired coaches for our financial side of the business to make sure we were handling that part of that end of the business well. And I looked at that recently. I heard Tom Brady, of the best football players of all time, has as many as 12 coaches.
Wow.
And not all for on the football field. He had his quarterback coach, his offensive line, defense coach, but he had, personal coaches for one thing or the other. And I'm like, wow, if a guy like that needs 12 coaches, why wouldn't I need one or two?
Yeah.
So if it's nothing else to keep you holding you accountable.
Yes, so important. Yeah. Do you have a board of directors or advisors at the moment?
I don't have a board of directors, no, or advisors in our organization, but we do have with our partners, and then we do hire experts, that's for sure. We've got our lawyers, we've got our accountants, we've got our things of that nature.
Before we get on to the final 5 questions, you're one of the few we've had on that have exited businesses before. Any advice to the audience, people thinking of exiting?
Well, you've got to have it's a good idea to build a business with a plan to exit. That's for sure. And some of the different businesses that I've built with a plan to exit haven't worked out. So I know that can be hard because you've got to build a strong, you got to have all your financials in order. You've got to be able to really prove the success that you've got. You've got to have records of everything, from even all the staff communications that you can use in Slack, for example. You can upgrade to the paid version to keep a history of all of the communications that you're having with your team, just to show the width and depth of your organization.
Yep.
So that if you're planning on exiting and selling it, that there's a history, logs of all of your staff communications and growth, and of course your IT staff and one area that you can make sure you've got your coaching. If you're planning on exiting, you're going to need to have all of your technology, your IT, your databases. It's all got to be backed up in a way that you can really show that the new owners can take over and continue with everything that you've built, and that it's organized and have multiple backups and stuff like that.
All right, Marco, I want to do our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
Hardest thing growing a small business is time management. And, so you've got to, if you're not managing your time, then time is managing you. And so that, to me, is the hardest thing about it.
Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
Back to how to grow friends and influence people, from one of the first books I read by Napoleon Hill.
Yep.
To the entire Zig Ziglar series of on sales, and because many people don't like sales, and they don't want to consider themselves a salesperson. But I could care less what business you're in. You're in sales whether you like it or not. So you better learn how to sell, and you better learn how to win friends and influence people with the right purpose.
Yep.
And so those two are, to me, the most important.
Any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
I like to follow Gary Vee's books and his podcast and videos, and Russell Brunson.
Yeah, he's good, Russell Brunson. Yeah, Gary Vee's Gary Vaynerchuk, Chuck, for those in the audience. But yeah, Russell Brunson's really good too. Yeah,
Russell Brunson and .com secrets. Get yourself thinking about how you can, what are you going to do online, how you're going to do it, how you're going to stand out from the crowd. So two types of leaders that I follow quite well.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
You've got to have automation nowadays. And I use one of the upgrades that we offer from Marketing Boost is called automationbooster.com. It's our white label version of an amazing product called Go High Level.
Right.
So Go High Level today is, to me, taking over what Russell Brunson built with ClickFunnels. Go High Level is a complete automation platform. Again, we offer it with Marketing Boost at a great program, because we combine all of your email, text messaging, everything with Automation Booster, and the Marketing Boost incentives built in and automated. But again, you've got to have automation. You've got to be able to organize and set it up where it works while you sleep, so that you're emailing, you're keeping in communication with your prospects and your clients via text, email, marketing, etc.
Yep. Finally, my favorite question: what would you tell yourself on day one of starting out, age 9?
Great question. What would I tell myself starting out from age 9? I would say, don't give up. You can do it. You will reach your goals. So it's a matter of, dedication.
Yep. Well, thanks very much for your time today, Mark. I think the audience got a shit ton of value out of your journey, and 52 years now in running businesses from the first paper out. I really appreciate your time, and congratulations to you and your partners, starting from 5 partners up to about 180 team members now. It's phenomenal over the last 15 years.
Thank you.
That's it. Thanks for listening. Please leave a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. It means more small business owners will find our cast and help people with their business growth journey.